here at home. The hurricanes are not even here yet, and so I'm working my way through, just working. So I'll just let our audience rejoin us and see how it goes. So if it becomes a more of a problem, then we'll be done for the day. So yeah. So anyway, so once you have comments, I believe that I haven't done the YouTube app in a long time on my phone. I'm usually a desktop person. So we'll see how this is going to work today. And what are you going to do, right? It could be like crochet, make it or fake it. So I am knitting today. I'm just working on a sample tutorial for the future. And Naughty is joining us, so welcome back. So I lost my power, so I'm back. Yeah, so the house was kind of dark there for a few minutes. So I don't want to turn on my computer until I know I'm in the clear. And yet it's a sunny day outside today. So we are expecting a hurricane coming in this weekend. So it's possible that Nova Scotia Power is cleaning up some tree stuff and all that jazz around us. So yeah, so Trey says hello. So I can only read a couple comments at a time here on screen because it's my phone. So we'll see how it goes, and we can always fake it or make it. So I'm just working my way through tutorial making. So my goal is to show people how to get started on this hat and then have this sample ready to go. You say, when I come back, I'll have such and such done, but this will already have been done before I start my tutorial work so that it looks like that I've worked on it the whole time in between the takes. But yeah, I kind of have a personal rule of myself on YouTube is that I like to crochet my own stuff. So sometimes Yarn Inspirations is offering to give me stuff to show on camera and whatever, but I prefer to crochet my own stuff. It's a sense of pride, I think. So it is a hat. So I'm knitting my first ever hat, and it's just a basic messy rib stitch knit hat. And I don't know why. I think I know why the name is, but I'm not 100% sure. So I can make it or fake it. So it's 3 in the morning in Australia, so welcome. So I can hear your yarn squeaking. Might be my brain too, trying to get over this whole knitting thing. So yeah, so I've been kind of mocking myself with this whole knitting experience. One lady was quite upset with me. She goes, "You're mocking knitters by making the slide remarks that I am." And I'm like, "Oh, sweetie, I'm just mocking myself." You know, it's almost like you got math class and you don't really want to do it, and so you make your own jokes that you're not so intelligent, which would be true in my case. And so anyway, so I just, if you can't laugh at yourself, then whatever. Life is a little short. So I was to attend a craft show this weekend, which I canceled myself. We are getting the wall of the hurricane where I live, but where the craft show is going to be is getting very close to the eye of the hurricane. So I decided that it's in my best interest just to stay home and out of harm's way. So, and we're not in a flooding zone, but we're expecting about 5 inches of rain, which is a lot of rain. But we live on the side of a valley ridge. So unfortunately, not all my neighbors have the same conditions. So I want to just get my hands in the motion that I don't have to think much about it. So with this whole knitting experience, and I don't know how far along I'm going to go with it. I can see why people don't knit blankets, so I'd be never done. So Steve says, hello, howdy. Yeah, so I feel like I would be never done, and if I was to knit a blanket, but that's just my own thoughts. So I can understand why stitch-alongs for blankets for knitting probably doesn't do so hot because it's a lot of time commitment to do it. It might take me years. So I have to do 9.5 inches of this and then start doing the reduction, which I don't know how to do yet. So I got to look that up online. I've actually filmed on how to do it like years ago. So I got to look up my video and remind myself how I do reductions and go from there. So again, fake it or make it. And then I got a kick-ass pom-pom to go on top. I love pom-poms. People see my work and they say, "Yeah, you look so stupid in your pom-pom." I'm like, oh, whatever. If you want to see stupid, you just gotta go look in the mirror. I love pom-poms. I just find that it's so the winters can be very dreary and long. I just find a pom-pom hat just kind of helps break the monotony of the winter season by just, you want to dress darker colors, and I find that a good pom-pom on the top of a hat is just so cheerful. So anyway, so I wear pom-pom. For me, in actual fact, I got a whole pom-pom stash that I got from Amazon. It came with 48 pom-poms because God forbid I don't have enough, and but it came with an assorted color, so you can get those kind of kits on Amazon to do that. So Amazon Canada is where I got it because I'm clearly in Canada. And anyway, so I got those shipped to me, so I have every color under the sun. And even if I was to do this for charity work, I would still slam on a pom-pom. Yeah. So thank you for joining us all throughout the years. We started back in 2008, so it's been 14 years. Somebody messaged me the other day because they're thinking about doing what I'm doing. And I'm like, she goes, how long did it take you to get 1 million subscribers? And I'm like, a long time. So I don't believe in instant fame in that sense when it comes to YouTube, because you die off pretty fast. So slow and better to build your community is better, because then you don't have a lot of really like whack jobs joining it at the same time. Yeah. And what I mean by whack jobs is that you got people that have no business wanting to crochet. They're just jumping on a bandwagon and then making your life hell with dumb comments that have nothing to do with the topic. So yeah, so I think that's the better way to go when it comes to social media. Yep, so kind of work my way through this hat. I learned a lot from the crochet crowd from India. We actually have quite a following from India. We also in Thailand, Turkey, in that region as well. We actually have quite a following. Used to be, I think, in Russia. I'm not sure if Russia came off the list, so I'm not sure if there's some kind of blockage or something. But Russia was quite a big following for us as well. And being crochet, I'm not into the politic crap. So, the crochet knows no borders, and it's a great opportunity to be able to pick up ideas from across the world. And life is short to be worried about some lines on a map. So that's just my feeling on that. So Arlene is claiming that I made her a better crocheter. Arlene, you always had it in you. You just needed to be inspired. Sometimes you just need that little bit of push to do things. And I find that's quite helpful online for the teaching. So the only thing I really don't like teaching online is live teaching. So I would not be sitting here and say, please, Nick. I can yap at you, but I don't really want to teach. So tonight at the studio, we have our working studio here. It's open on Wednesday nights here to the public. And so the women and the men come in for Stitch Social. It starts at 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and then we head to a pub afterward and have supper together as a group. Well, some of us do. And anyway, we're doing a great yarn exchange tonight. So I came up with the idea a few weeks ago. So what it is that people end up buying yarn and then it just dies a slow death in their house. So I figured, why not have a great yarn exchange like we used to have on the crochet cruises, and people bring in the yarn that they want to part with. Some people want to sell their yarn, which is okay. I don't even care. And then there's other people like me. I'm just happy to give away the yarn because I'd rather not deal with the finances. So yeah, so that's happening here tonight. And no, I'm not going to ship the yarn. And we kind of stopped doing all the yarn giveaway stuff. I talked about that in the last broadcast. I find that when people don't win something, even if it's a random draw, they get really upset. So I figured, don't upset anybody by doing a giveaway. It's one of those things in life. Social media has us all connected, but when somebody's not happy, of course you got to hear about it. Isn't that sad? Mm-hmm. So we made a poll the other day. I've been switching to vertical format And what we're doing is that I'm switching back to the landscape. 73% of you are using a cell phone to access our materials, which the vertical makes sense. But there's a strong vocal pushback on that. So the videos that I'm starting to film as of yesterday are back to landscape format. But I work weeks and months in advance. So I have up until the end of December scheduled here on YouTube for content. So I do work ahead. So when I do a video, it doesn't mean that I filmed it the same day. And so people say, oh my God, you're doing so much, you can't keep up. But then if you work weeks in advance like I do. Where is the adorable cat? Binky Boo is around here somewhere. Daniel's outside with the dog, with the thing. Are we on a loop? I don't know what that means. So what's on a loop? What does that mean? I'm sorry. The knit stitches are all the loops on our needles. You're not on a loop. Oh, there might be commercial breaks. Remember, that's what pays for these tutorials. So I know people get upset about it, but one rule that I've always put with our thing is that as a host, I'm allowed to put a commercial every 8 minutes in a video, but I only have one at the very beginning of a video. And so I just feel like once you're in the flow of learning, YouTube has a program that even if you're going around the site every 8 minutes, you'll see an ad. So I just feel like if you're going to sit with me for an hour, you do not need to see an ad in the middle of a teaching process. I feel it's kind of rude. So that's one thing that I've refused to do over the years. So a loop, so off to frog, yes. So I had all my bags packed for the yarn show that I was going to go to, so I was actually quite excited about it, and so I'm a little disappointed I'm not going, but it's weather related, obviously. Let me just take my measurement. So you love my shirt. So that is, these are Facebook ads that I'm responding to, and they fit my Hulk fat stomach too. I find buying clothes online is kind of a struggle, but COVID kind of taught me that my phone is literally a cash register. So I have learned to shop online since COVID dropped. I did a little bit once in a while. I never even had an Amazon account until COVID dropped. And so if I need something, I just slam it through Amazon. But I'm at the point where if I want something, I'm prepared to wait for like 2 or 3 weeks to get it but Amazon has got their own drivers now here where I live. So things are coming a lot faster. And I believe they've just opened up a new Amazon warehouse within an hour from here. So yeah, so I just, you got to do what you got to do, right? And I live, as some people are saying, well, the shipping, but not everybody lives in a city. I don't live in a city. I live in a village, to be honest with you. So there is two close towns to me. They have like the McDonald's and, the Walmart and Michael's and stuff, but sometimes they just don't have what you need. So the online shopping kind of fills that void. So, and if you don't want to pay for shipping, you don't want it bad enough. That's the way that I visualize it. So somebody says they're knitting a little neck scarf. What yarn am I using for this project? I'm using Bernat's Softy Chunky yarn today. I actually thought the yarn was discontinued until I talked to the team. How can they consider for a tutorial? You can message me on my website if you want to, and just But if you're asking me to design, you got to remember I'm such a slow designer, and I don't design clothing. But you can ask me through an email through my website if you want to. And the pattern has to be from a source that I'm allowed to teach from. So anything from the Crochet Crowd that I've designed, Jeannie designed, or something from our Yarn Inspirations, there is a legal restriction from being able to film anybody's pattern because it's considered like copyright and stuff. So I don't get involved with just pulling patterns online and just filming them. So I have a legal agreement with Yarn Inspirations that I can film their stuff. But I'm all ears. Sometimes actually last 2 weeks I've been filming stuff people have been asking for. And sometimes like I don't want to do a crochet thread bedspread because that'll never see the light of day. I get that once in a while and I'm like, you honestly are going to crochet a bedspread in thread? Yeah. Meanwhile, back in the land of reality, I think once upon a time that might have been the cool thing to do, but I can't see that today. You did a crochet cruise once. Any thoughts about doing another? It looked like a blast. Casey, we're done with the process, and the reason why we're done is that the sponsorship to get all of that has become very complicated. It's also become very complicated to take stuff on board a cruise ship. So I determined before COVID happened that we were retiring the process, and then COVID dropped, and then it becomes a real problem. So I like the idea. So we're doing travel with the boys as far as like traveling as a group, but I'm not supplying the yarn anymore because you had to pay an activity fee, and so we'd have to buy the yarn and then have it shipped. And because the trucker shortage is going on and the worker shortage, it's becoming really to the point where it's not a doable event. So yeah, so kind of life moves on, and you just gotta, it was fun for a while it lasted, but it's time for something new. So I will be crocheting with crocheters in Australia to New Zealand next February. So that's been scheduled. And so there's still tickets available for that if you want that. You can see that on our website, thecrochetcrowd.com, under the main menu, Travel with the Boys, and you can do that if you wish. There's no activity fee because we're not supplying the yarn, we're just traveling as a yarn group. And so you bring your own yarn, what you love, and so that's something that we've kind of done. So we got the idea for crochet cruises from Swarovski Crystals, and so they were doing, taking their ambassadors on a cruise to teach them how to use the crystals. And I thought, well, gee, that's a great idea. And I had no idea that there was a crochet element, that people were doing crochet cruises and stuff like that. So anyways, we kind of prodded them for information, how we go about doing it. And so that's what kind of kick-started those crochet cruises. And over the years, we've met a lot of people. Most of my team that works for me is actually from the cruises, or people that I got to hang out with. And I much prefer an event like that versus a store visit. Store visits, you meet people for 2 seconds, they share a quick story, but it's hard to remember these people. So I like the longer events because you can actually get to know people and have those relationships that last because you've had more time than just a few minutes. So it's kind of just a personal preference. Am I done yet? So anyway, I started using a ball that was partially used, which I didn't realize. And so anyway, it was the green, which I really wanted the whole hat to be. And then I realized it was going to run out. So I changed it, and I'm going to say that it's a design element, that I wanted the brim to be a different color, but technically I didn't. And I think what we can do with crocheters is that we can fake it or make it, right? So somebody says they made slippers like that. Yeah, sometimes you just, when you're in your yarn collection, you don't always make sense when you're looking at what you're choosing. And then you don't want to compromise on the colors, and then you sacrifice and say, yeah, I got enough yarn, and you realize you don't have enough yarn. So I'm knitting back and forth, and then there will be a seam line, and don't go at me because I don't know how to knit in the round yet. So this is my first attempt to make a hat. So don't kill my buzz. So that's my next step. I actually had a course lined up to learn from this weekend before the hurricane was a problem. Yeah. How to use an Afghan hook. Beginners, we have those on our channel if you need those. That's called Tunisian. An Afghan hook is called Tunisian crochet. So we have beginner classes and stuff available on YouTube for free if you want it. Just called Tunisian. And we have Tunisian stitches, and that's all using the Afghan hook. So does Daniel knit? No, but he can crochet if he feels like it. I found over the years, because of the crochet crowd, I found myself buried in the programming so hard some days, like I don't even see the light of day. And so we did a whole complete programming change behind the scenes yesterday, but you won't notice on your side, on the public side. So I just kind of wondered about two companies. You know, it's like $400 a month that I have to spend on these companies, just these two alone. And I thought, you know, if I find a different company that maybe is a little bit cheaper, that it could be more affordable. So I kind of switched over. So we'll see what the aftermath of doing something like that is going to be. There's a lot of cost to giving away free tutorial stuff. So we make it up in the monetization on YouTube. So I don't apologize for that at all. Because, yeah. True Blue, Red Heart. I didn't know many shades brighter, dark, same name. I didn't hit that whole comment. Sorry, it didn't show the whole comment. You're disappointed in Red Heart because Twist and Lock's hooks are still on the fence. I don't mind that Twist and Lock. I'm more of a molded head person. Somebody just gave me a warning for New Zealand to dress warmer, even though it's in the summertime. Thank you for that. I appreciate knowing that. We're also doing a mystery trip in the US in April, if you're interested in that. So that's something that you can contact me on my website if you're interested. I think there's like only 5 spaces available. It is a complete mystery trip. You will not know where you're going. You will be given a cost to go, and you will be traveling with almost 50 people in the same coach bus. The only information you're going to get is your confirmation that you're booked. And then a week before we depart, you're going to get your plane ticket and where you're going to fly to, and the first hotel that we're going to meet at. And then we all meet up at the hotel the night before. And then the next day, our coach bus is going to come and get us and take us somewhere. And that is all happening in April. And we're just trying the idea of a mystery. Some people are really not happy about the mystery because they don't know where they're going to go, but that's kind of the whole point of a mystery. The True Blue Red order from Amazon was lighter and brighter than the original True Blue that I bought at Walmart. Huh. Is there a dye lot on that? So anyway, the mystery is open to anybody that would like to go. Anyway, you just have to book through our agent to do that, to arrange everything, because everything is being kept together as a group. But you should know that if you are going to do that, both Daniel and our agent has elevated taste in travel. So it's not, you're not going to end up at a budget motel. And I do know that, but I actually don't know where we're going. So I want to be surprised on the coach bus with the rest of the group of where we end up. I asked that it be kept in the dark about it, and they're doing a good job of doing that. So anyways, you see it on reality shows. People show up at these like castles or villas and all that, and they're all excited. Any chance that I would visit London? I don't think so. Daniel was just in London last month. You know, and you know, when I'm thinking I'm doing this damn hat, and then I see somebody wanted to charge $40, and then I see somebody bitching at them that they're charging $40, I'm going to charge $80. Yeah. Yeah. Are you traveling to PI for the Fiber Festival? No, I decided this morning. I emailed the event coordinator this morning that I'm not going to. The eye of the storm is too close to Charlottetown for me to consider going. I'm already going to be in the path of the hurricane where I live, so to drive more into the path closer to the eye doesn't make sense for me. So I decided to cancel. I didn't want to. I was on the fence about it. So I had like 2 hours to decide, or the hotel wasn't going to give me my money back. Do you ever do slippers first time? Do you ever do slippers? I have them in tutorial format for crochet, but I've never done, this is kind of like my first real knitting project. Like knit. So I'm not necessarily worried about the hurricane showing up. Last time I checked, it's a level 3. They say it might be a level 2. Could be 1 by the time it hits here. I really honestly don't know. So I'm not going to worry about stuff I cannot change. So I will deal with it, and we're preparing. We've already got our food, propane. We have a fireplace here if we need it. So anyway, I told the organizers that if they're going to reschedule, I'd be all over that. So I'm not hosting at the event. I was just going to be a guest, just a regular person. So I lined up my whole weekend to learn from different hosts and stuff. But once you get your knit dish class, you will never not knit them all. Am I right, guys? You could be. I think some things are better knitting for sure. I think crochet has its space, but I think knitting has its benefits too. I have the same knitting set as my 4 sisters got the same for Christmas, and I love it. The knitting set. Where's the info about the U.S. mystery trip? If you go on my website, just type in the search box contact, and then just send me a message, and I will have our agent get a hold of you. There's almost no space left, so we don't have it sitting publicly. But our agent can get a hold of you, and you can go through it with her. She won't tell you where we're going to go, but she'll give you the breakdown and what's going to happen in the whole 9 yards. So if you want to do that, I'll be happy. My agent is currently in Egypt, so she's just on a different. She's 6 hours into the future than I am here. So what time is it now? I don't even know. What yarn is this? This is Bernat's Softy Chunky yarn. So Bo is happy to join us live. So I started doing the live last week. I was told to do live years ago, but what was happening is that I was being harassed by these foolish people on YouTube. And since then, YouTube has put a lot of barriers to protect the creators. So, and they're set to my channel. So you can't use certain words in my videos. So if you enter maybe a president's name into the into a comments, it doesn't matter which one, it will reject it. And so what I did is I put all these stuff, including my own politics here in Canada, I put that all in there to avoid people from using my platform to fight with each other. And I find that those community barriers that I put up, like the word hate, if you use the word hate, it will not show up. So just words like that. And it's made this live a lot easier to manage because I can see on my end when a comment is rejected, as I'm sitting here with you. And I just think that we just want to stay crochet based and keep it light and easy. So anyway, so yeah, there's still foolish people on YouTube, but they're being blocked by the blockers that I programmed in. And it's made my life a lot easier. It was pretty bad at times, like really quite bad. So so anyway, there's a whole file that is kept of everybody that's blocked and all the block stuff. So I was looking at it the other day, and The amount of porn that is posted to my videos daily is shocking. So the way that I'm knitting is called English knitting, I believe. So the amount of porn that's posted to my videos every day is just astounding. But anyway, because I have the program blockers that I've put in there, nobody ever sees it. And then I get a lot of men trying to hit on women too there. So I've got certain words that I've kind of watched their language and what they're using to get a hold of women. And so then I block those words too. So a tester, we have 15 testers. We're not looking for any testers right now. But usually I just kind of watch people online and see if they're making comments to my stuff. And my last one that I brought on, you know, she was just very attentive to the detail. And I just happened to be watching the way that she was interacting with me on Stitch Social. So I invited her to be a tester. So sometimes you just got to watch people's actions and watch how they're talking to people too. Some people can be really gifted at like testing stuff, but they might actually be quite almost a rough communicator in the way they talk to people. So I want kind of people that work with me to be kind of not necessarily Pollyanna, but to be able to ensure that if I don't take a suggestion, that I'm not going to get raked through the coals for it. So are we done yet? No. Knitting. I'm actually kind of proud of myself, to be honest. So anyway, so I showed Daniel that video that I posted today, this little short about things, words that are said at a craft show. Oh my God. So anyway, I was showing him at lunchtime what I was doing because I was pretending to be two different people. And anyway, if you haven't seen it, it's on our, it's on the channel under the shorts. Anyway, it's words to learn for a craft show. Anyway, so Daniel says, so every time it says, so I said the word sheep and so I have to repeat the words that I'm telling myself to repeat. And so I say to myself, repeat the word sheep, and I say acrylic. And then llama, acrylic. You know, because I'm such an everyday crocheter when it comes to that. And Daniel says, and oh my God, did we ever laugh? He said, you should have said, repeat after me, locally sourced, and then your response should have been China. Oh my God, I laugh so hard because it's so true. So I'm just an everyday crafter if you haven't already figured that out. So I'm a budget shopper. And yeah. So one thing I've learned because I'm old enough to know better now is that I don't always buy cheap because you get exactly what you pay for. Especially with appliances and stuff. So, but for the yarn, cheap is good. So yeah, so the shirt videos, I'm just trying to have a little bit of fun with it. One lady was really upset yesterday with one of them because she says, I made a joke that I'm the queen of many things, and she said that is, anyway, she's religious, and so anyway, I got my ass chewed for that. But I'm like, oh my God, lady, it's a joke. It's a joke. Life is short. But, you know, the gay culture has its own humor and its own thing. So somebody says, oh my God, you're knitting. I know, don't tell anybody. Yeah. She may not have understood it's a joke. Well, she basically condemned me from hell and told me to check into a church. So I think she gets it. But I don't think that's her position to tell me that, honestly. Because I know people that go to church. I think and some of them are worse than I am. Can I get an amen up in here? But yeah, just... You can never have too much yarn. I disagree with that. If it's overtaken your house and you got rats living in the middle of it, yeah, so you may have too much yarn. What is this too much yarn you're speaking of? Says no one ever. If it overtakes your house. I do believe that there's too much yarn. If you know, honestly, if I'm dead, oh my God, they're gonna have to get a U-Haul to get all the yarn out of here. Are you changing your channel? No. You know what? I'm just... Can I be honest? Am I allowed to be honest on this live broadcast? I don't know how honest I'm allowed to be, and the reason why I'm doing this. And I'm not doing it to upset people, but... So I love you as you are. Because I can tell you why I'm knitting. I want to knit because I'm a little bit burnt out with the crochet. And this is allowing me to keep my love for the yarn arts and just give me a mental break from crochet. And I know that might be so silly, but I live and breathe crochet every day of my life. And I love it. I think it's great. And I'm just a little burnt out. So what I'm doing is that I'm just trying to change my skill a little bit in order for me to keep my love for the yarn, but also keep myself mentally challenged. Because if I have to do another video for something single crochet, I'm just gonna like wring somebody's neck. So anyway, I'm just doing this for myself for mental balance, if that makes any sense. Usually if I get burnt out, I might try a different hobby like jewelry making or whatever, but I decided knitting is this one. And it's just a little bit of a break to give my brain some exercise of something different. So somebody has approximately 50 toes of yarn in the basement. I think that might qualify for too much yarn. Yeah. So anyway, so I don't mind. I love crochet. I think it's great. It's our business, but I'm just trying to bring myself back together. And my other thing that I have is that because the US is going through the midterms, and we're also going through a little bit of turmoil with our own politics here in Canada, I just find that the amount of comments that I'm getting put me as a direct target for some of the hate. And I'm just a little burnt out. I just feel like I'm defending myself a lot just for breathing. And I don't think people realize that, you know, a lot of the shit they share on Facebook and YouTube literally impacts somebody's life like it can. So I'm just taking a bit of a break just to bring myself mentally together. But I was trying to figure out the other day, why is it like every few years we go through a really rough patch of the commenting, and I finally clued in that it's an election-based thing. So anyway, it's just kind of, it's disappointing in that sense. And I don't care your politics. I just want to be treated as an equal person. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. Is this hat done yet? So, you know, somebody just made a comment about people being tolerant. I don't feel like it's about being tolerant. I just feel like, you know, if somebody wants to live their life in a certain way, does it affect me, yes or no? And if it doesn't, don't worry about it. You know, people make their own decisions on what they like and what they don't, and you know, I realize I got a lot more problems in my own life than having to worry about what other people do with theirs. So Crystal has jumped completely into all the different crafts, it appears. For a newer knitter, your tension is pretty even. Actually, I can't say that's true because I just finished a scarf that looks like shit. So, and the tension was all over the place, but I think it's the yarn too. Somebody said they could give up the yarn, but they're not a quitter. Good, that's a good one. So people post negative comments to get reactions. That's all. Did I do a gauge swatch, Mikey? Oh, please. What is the gauge swatch? No, I didn't. Let's keep my fingers crossed that it's right. I don't know if I'm a tight knitter or loose, but we won't talk about it. If we're loose, though, you know. I don't know. Somebody says they don't swatch ever. On the crochet, I think it's important that you swatch. Some people just don't bother. So, and anyway, so if you actually go through some of the comments on YouTube, people are upset that the project is not as big as it's supposed to be in the whole 9 yards. Chances are they never gauged. And then I will respond saying, well, what was your gauge? And they're like crickets, and they realize they never gauged. So if you don't bother to gauge, especially if it's a wearable, you could be out of luck. I always find on the hats, I don't care what hat pattern it is, I always F up on the hat. Always. My hat is always too big or it's too small, and I don't know why. It drives me nuts. So I find that if the hat pattern's calling for a 6mm size J, then I will go down to a 5mm size H. And I do that because I know myself. And I think I'm screwing up because I've already changed over. Just give me a second. I think I screwed up. This is apparently called tinking when you go back. When I did this last week on last week's broadcast, I did the same thing on a different pattern. And anyway, I took out the whole row, or the whole row, and then I basically ended up with a nightmare. So somebody knits with the under their arm. Do you find that knitting can be more relaxing than crocheting? I don't know. I'm kind of homicidal right now, so I don't know, but that's true. It's got its challenges. I just got to get to the point. I believe that I'm going to like this hobby once I get to the point that I don't have to think, right? That it just comes naturally. And I see the women crochet and knit here in the nights on Stitch Social here at the studio. And I just watch them, and they're just like yapping away about nothing. Well, something that's important for them. And anyway, they're just knitting like crazy, and they're just not even looking at their work barely. And yet they're doing whole patterns and stuff. And so that's the moment I want to get to in my brain, that I want to be able to talk about nothing and actually do something. So I've been kind of making jokes. Actually, Yarn Inspirations and I were talking about this on Monday. I've been meeting with them every Monday, but we were talking, and I said, yeah, I've been mocking myself on this whole knitting process. And they said they're actually enjoying the videos. They said because you're kind of giving light to a new knitter of the obstacles of like fighting the boredom and fighting the concept, especially switching over from a crochet. So they're actually find it quite funny. So I'm like, that's good. So I'm quite excellent in advice. Oh, well, that's because I crochet my own stunts, right? Yeah. So I like to be able to do the work and then actually have the tips, because that's what my mom would have done for me. So I'm teaching you as if my mom is teaching me. So I'm realizing with myself is that knitting is not necessarily about the speed, because I have to keep telling myself that, but the overall look at the end, it cannot be duplicated with crochet in the same way. So if I want the knitted look, then I have to take my time and do it right. Crochet is knitting, counting is math. Does knitting take longer? Oh, hell yeah. It was like a whole season. Mind you, I started last night, so I'm not doing so bad. There's a hat that actually looks like this in crochet that can be done in like 2 hours in crochet. So you got to think that I've got several hours already into this thing. So I'm not going to be able to duplicate the speed, but then it looks probably better than the crochet. Don't tell anybody though. So we got Columbia in the house. So loom knitting, I don't mind loom knitting. I find it's really limiting with the rings and stuff. So I get people that message and they want a crochet scarf and they want it done in loom knitting. I'm like, what's the conversion to do it? I'm like, I don't know. Because those pegs really are not changeable to do much other than what you want to do. So we have Connecticut in the house, says Beth. Sinwood looms is a good one, yes. Knitting can be unforgivable, yeah. It's almost like an ex-partner, eh? Unforgivable. Actually, it's kind of funny. Facebook suggested that some friends yesterday for me to friend up. And anyway, one of them was somebody that I had been with for years. And I'm like, oh, hell no, are you stupid? We don't go around that one twice. I've been there, done that, got the emotional scars. We're not going for a second spin. So I'm like, delete this request. He didn't request, but Facebook is suggesting because we have common people. I'm like, oh, hell no. There's some things that you go back for seconds on, like maybe a buffet, maybe some ice cream. But a relationship that just didn't work. Nope, that's a one-timer. But I have to say, probably if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today, because a lot of what I did on YouTube in the beginning was the result of my relationship falling apart. So, so this is kind of a side effect. So we have Sharon Hunt all the way from Newfoundland. Sharon, are you ready for the storm on the weekend? Do you have any plans for that? Because I see that it's hitting directly in Newfoundland, but I don't know where you are in Newfoundland to know if you're in the path or not. Any tips to stop my first pullover custom? Oh, I missed any tips for, oh, I didn't read that all the way. It went so fast. And Sharon says as ready as you're gonna be. Yeah, I'm not worried about it, Sharon. I just think you can't control the weather. You can just be prepared. So I don't feel fear. I felt fear the first time I went through a hurricane after I moved to the East Coast. Hurricane Dorian, I was kind of scared. I don't feel the fear this time. Maybe I should, but I don't. But I'm not as close to the eye like I was in the last one. When you suggest, when you feel bad when somebody suggests as a friend and then you realize that you asked that friend out. You know, I have to say, when I first joined Facebook, I would feel really bad when I want to ask a friend. I would have like this emotional turmoil. If I ask this friend on Facebook, you know, it's going to impact my real life. And it was a little bit of a mental struggle with that. I don't know if anybody else went through that. And because you realize you take it personal if somebody unfriends you on social media. And so anyway, that was kind of I think I was one of the hardest things when all Facebook came to be. Is like, there's some people you just don't want them to know what you're up to, but they see everything. And so, so you kind of want them not to see anything. So you kind of, thing. So Jancy said that she unfriended social media. So I think I try to keep our social media very light. I have opinions on stuff, but some of the opinions, I really want to talk about something, but I don't have the balls to do it because I don't want to open myself up to a can of worms. The hairdresser this morning was kind of talking about the one topic that I want to talk about. And I'm like, I don't know where you're living to have that point of view. And I'm like, so I realized that her and I's point of view is not the same. So I just politely agree with her comments. Because there's a time and place, and I don't know her that well to kind of rebuttal her comments. And I'm like, no, I don't feel the same way as that. So anyway, I don't try to engage in that kind of talk. Did anybody finish watching the season of RuPaul Drag Race Down Under? I loved it, the second season. I was really happy with all three choices at the end, so any one of them could have won and I would have been happy. And then I was really happy with RuPaul Drag Race Canada as well. It was a great choice. And so Down Under and Canada, they basically, the winner of the two shows, they're basically the queens that kind of reached out to other queens while they're having a meltdown and actually being part of the solution and trying to help them mentally get through the show. And so I'm like, that's exactly what you would want as a representation. So I thought they did a great choice. Okay, so we're going on an hour here, Stitch Social. So I think I'm going to wrap up, have a bathroom break, and then get on with something else. I kind of want to check the weather forecast too. So this will be eventually a tutorial that you're seeing being made. So I will just kick people off and say, well, you know, here's the steps. And then when I come back, I will be at the top of the hat. So I'm going to stop when I get to the top of the hat for this and show how to finish the real hat with this sample. And so anyway, we're going to try to do these lives a little more often on Facebook, sorry, on YouTube. And we're going to go from there and see what happens. And yeah. So I hope you all have a great day. And this hat's actually, I like the color of the hat. So, and then I have my pom-pom collection right here. Oh, you can't even see that. So I have a whole pom-pom collection. So I'm going to have to choose my pom-pom and choose wisely. So that's it for now. We hope you have a good one, and we will see you again real soon right here on the Crochet Crowd. Bye-bye now. How do I get out of this thing?